Hi there, I'm already here. It's still a couple of minutes early, but I'm just making sure that everything is set up and running so that we are good to go at 9 a.m. PDT. I don't know if you are any soccer fans, because I actually accidentally scheduled this webinar at exactly the time the German soccer team is starting to play again the Northern Irish team. So my guess is not a lot of German people will listen to this today. So it would be interesting to know where you all are from. Makes it easier for us to schedule our webinars so that a lot of you guys can actually come and join us for the webinar. So it would be nice if you could just type into the chat where you're from. So it looks like a lot of people of you are from the US and probably not up for watching any soccer games tonight. Just to warn you beforehand that you might hear some noise from the outside, which I can't block. That's hopefully just firecrackers, which usually mean that the Germans scored a goal. If you cannot see the chat yet, you have to go to the left-hand side of your browser and activate the chat. So, and then the chat window will open on the right-hand side of your screen. Jonathan is here with me here today again. We did that the last time, and it looked like a good format to go. So Jonathan is going to be here today with me and be active in the chat. So if you have any questions while I talk you through the hacks, just use the chat and he will be trying to answer it. And if there are still questions left, of course, we're going to try and answer them once we went through all the hacks. I just realized that I have a mistake on the first front page of the slide deck I'm using. It says 7 hacks, and we announced 11 hacks, and that's what we are going to do. We are going to present 11 hacks to you. Oh, there's someone from Scotland here. Oh, that's interesting. I thought you would be watching the soccer games tonight. So we are almost ready to go. Wow, someone from India here. It must be in the middle of the night for you. Great to have you. Well, actually, I'm not so much interested in football or soccer, but when it's World Championships or European Championships, I actually watch most of the games. So I would have watched soccer tonight if I wouldn't be doing this webinar. So it's 6 p.m. in Berlin. My guess is you all know that Jonathan and I are located in Berlin, Germany. So it's early evening for us. Obviously later in the evening for India and early morning for western coast of US. So really worldwide spread out audience. So I think we should just start. We are going to start with an introduction. So if people turn up late, they won't be missing so much. If you were in our last webinar about Twitter, you already know who we are, but my guess is that some of you are here for the first time. And I want to say welcome to all of you. And who are we doing this webinar? That's me, Susanna, and my brother, Jonathan, and together we are active on the blog, The Social M's. We are the social marketers. For today, I'm your host. In the future, some of the webinars, Jonathan will be your host, but today I'm going to talk you through. Jonathan is going to be active in the chat. I mentioned that before, so if any questions come up while I'm talking and won't be able to see everything that's going on in the chat, Jonathan is going to answer your questions. So we are brother and sister, and the reason I'm stating here what I did before I became a marketer is that I just want to make it clear you don't need any special background to become a marketer. You can be a mathematician like me, or you can be a physicist, or maybe a doctor, or whatever else. You just have to be open-minded and willing to learn and be able to adapt to new technologies, new social networks coming up, and then you can become a marketer, because that's just what happened to Jonathan and me. Jonathan is a mathematician too. So we simply became marketers because we had to, because we started a startup and we had to learn marketing to make that successful. And the story of our first startup, Explore B2B, is we founded the publishing platform Explore B2B in 2010, and we badly needed signups, content, and traffic for this platform to show to our investors that we really could tackle the market, and the market was really interested in what we were doing. And so we really needed to succeed in social media marketing. And we found a strategy that worked for us in 2012. And yeah, got a lot of traffic for Explore B2B. We got a lot of leads and registered users. We got over 50K published articles on the publishing platform. So, and we achieved exponential growth for a while. So growing the startup wasn't really the problem. We failed for different reasons. But we failed, so we had to close that publishing platform down. And we had to start new from scratch, because we lost the brand, we lost the website, and had to start anew. We started a new blog, The Social M's, in September 2014. And after just 7 months of blogging, we reached about 50,000 visitors per month. without paying for ads, simply by using what we had learned before for social media marketing. And a lot of our traffic came from Twitter and is still coming from Twitter, but we are also used a lot of the hacks I'm going to talk you through today. Let me just mention one thing before we start with the hacks. Today's webinar is about hacks which you can use to instantly get more traffic to your content. But these hacks are not the same as a long-term consistent social media and content strategy. And in order to build an audience, in order to really scale your results, you need a long-term strategy. Today is about hacks. They can have a positive influence on your audience and social media traffic, even on a long-term basis, but they actually are more short-term traffic hacks. So here are the 11 hacks I'm going to talk you through. I'm going to talk a bit about headlines. I'm going to talk about the importance of images and visuals in your content. I'm going to show you how to get more shares in social media and how to become an expert testimonial or get interviewed by some journalists or bloggers. I'm going to talk about how to use huge industry sites and commenting on industry sites to get more traffic. I'm very short going to talk about guest posts because they can really give you some additional exposure if you need that for a special piece of content. I'm going to give you some ideas for cooperations with other bloggers. I'm also going to talk about the importance of email in traffic generation. Yeah, and the last two are really great hacks. It's about repurposing content that you already have and about using some outlets you may not think of as the best outlets for yourself, but which can really provide you with huge amounts of traffic if you do it right. So let's start right with the first hack, and that's about headlines. This is really important, and it's actually something you can do quite easily. You already have a piece of content and you're going to share it in social media. And the headline is going to make a huge difference. And to show you that, I've put down an example where the same piece of content was tweeted with different tweet texts or headlines, because most of the time we use the headline as a tweet text. And you can see that one got double as many clicks as the other one. So that shows you how important it is to spend some time on creating a great headline, and how important it even is to maybe test some headlines if you're not sure which one is the better one. Test it. This statistic you can see here is actually created with the for free version of the tool Buffer, which shows you the retweets, favorites, clicks for anything you tweet through Buffer, and which you can easily use to test headlines. But I don't just want to tell you that it's important to have better headlines. I also want to show you, give you some tips on what makes a headline better. The first tip is about power headlines. There are some types of headlines that already prove to get more clicks and retweets or more shares. And some of us, like Jonathan, don't really like all these list posts, but the truth is they get a lot of shares and they get a lot of clicks and a lot of traffic. They really work like hell. Usually large numbers in these list posts, like the 200 best tools for bloggers or something, work even better than smaller numbers, but lists generally work really well. Another headline that works really well is the how-to, because we are all looking for explanations on how to do something on the web. So if you can provide some explanations, then make it clear in the title that your post is about how to do something. Another headline that always works is if you can fulfill dreams. That means, for instance, these posts, how to make money blogging, how to get rich blogging, or whatever, they work even though we don't really trust them. We click on them because that's really a dream, and so these headlines really work. A couple of weeks ago, I published a post about the 17 worst social media tips I ever got, and it really went, well, it didn't go viral, but it produced so much traffic for a couple of days. It actually doubled our whole blog traffic for a couple of days. So best or worst headlines usually work really well. Another thing that works well is, for instance, if you have some the most important social media trends for 2016, you need to know for 2016. These kind of predictions and trends really work. So now you learn which types of headlines work well. The next thing is that you need to know about headlines is that one word can really make all the difference. Just consider the title of the post that is in this screenshot, the ultimate list of words and phrases that convert. And now just drop the ultimate. So now it's the list of words and phrases that convert. And I have to admit, I wouldn't click on that. I would probably click on the ultimate list of words. So one power word can make all the difference. And there are a lot of these words which really work well in headlines. That's amazing. It's awesome. It's ultimate and something like that. One word that also works really well is make it about your audience, make it about you and not about me or I. Knowing about these power words can make your headlines work a lot better. But there's another tip for you to create better headlines, and that's from one of these clickbait websites, Upworthy. I don't know if you know Upworthy. What they do is actually they take content from other outlets, they make a little kind of byline on their own website, and they change the title. They're really good at titles. Headlines that work in social media. What they are after is headlines that get shares and clicks. And to find the perfect headline, they actually come up with 25 headlines for each of their posts. And from that, they narrow it down and then in the end, choose one. So for you to create better headlines, you should, at least for the beginning of your content marketing or content creation process, follow this routine. The reason for going for so many headlines is if you go for 5 to 10, you can more or less come up with varieties of the same type of headline. But if you have to create 20 to 25, you really have to get creative. And some of these new ideas for a headline will in the end be the headline that really works well. So let's move on to the second hack. You really need to provide images and visuals for your content or for social media. And the reason is that they simply get more views and more shares in social media. They're easier to read, so you will get more attention from your audience, because one post that's broken up with with images every couple of 100 words is much easier to read. So you will have many more people reading your content to the end. But you will also get a ton more retweets, actually 150% more retweets on the same tweet if you add an image. And you will also get a lot more engagement and shares on Facebook with and reach on Facebook if you have an image to go with your post. And it's actually not so difficult to provide images. A couple of years ago, you needed a designer or someone who really had the right tools and knew how to come up with great images. Today, you can, for instance, use Canva, which is an online tool for social media images. They provide you with image templates in the right dimensions, and you can choose a template and start from that, adjust it for your own purpose, and change the text, add a different picture. So it's really easy to create images for your social media, and you should do that. If you want to go for infographics, there's a tool, Easily, which you can use, which also comes with free templates. So you can just try it out. So if you have a couple of social networks where you're active, you really should provide images in the right dimensions for your most important social networks where your audience is. So let's get to sharing. What really gives you a lot more traffic is if other people share your content. For instance, when we were starting out, our social media accounts were still small, really small, and you could instantly see if someone with a larger audience retweeted or posted our content on Facebook. We could see that in Google Analytics. So getting other people to share your content is really what makes your content spread in social media. And I'm right now building a new Twitter account in a niche where we haven't been active before. So we haven't got so much own content right now to keep the Twitter account active all day long. So what I do is I browse a lot of great blogs looking for content I want to share on this new Twitter account. And this is not marketers blogging there. This is just people from a niche. They're blogging, they are not experts in marketing. So a lot of these blogs don't have share buttons. So you can, I don't have much time for doing this, for keeping this Twitter account active every day. So I have some blogs which have share buttons, and I just have to click and have a ready-made tweet. I can just copy the tweet into Buffer, and Buffer will pull the image, and I'm finished. And some of these blogs don't provide share buttons, so I would have to copy the title, copy the link, collect an image somehow, find the Twitter handle of the blogger. So what do you think happens? Well, most of the time, I have to admit, I only share the content from the blogs that provide me with share buttons. So what you really should do is provide share buttons on your blog. The screenshot I took from our blog is the share buttons are from the WordPress plugin SumoMe, where you can use the free version. Gets you really far. But it doesn't really matter which plugin. There are quite a lot of plugins or share buttons you can use. Just make sure you have share buttons for your most important social networks. Make sure you provide images for your most important social networks. For us, for instance, that's Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And make sure that when they click on the share buttons, that the tweet is set up correctly, and for instance, that the pin is already ready for sharing. That means that if you add a Pinterest image, also see that the alt tags are set for the Pinterest images, because the alt tags actually fill the description of the image, and that's really important on Pinterest to get traffic from Pinterest, to get more repins on Pinterest and more views on your pins and eventually clicks. To get more shares for articles, there's another tip. You cannot only provide one ready-made tweet via the share buttons. You can also use the free WordPress plugin Click to Tweet. This is fairly easy to use, and what it does is you simply take some nice sounding snippets from your article text and create more tweets, which you then can simply integrate into your article. And people can simply click on Click to Tweet and have another tweet text than your title. This will give you more tweets of your content, because sometimes people don't like your title, but they like some statement you make in the article and will tweet that. But we are still not done with shares. We still want more shares. And it's actually proven that if you ask for shares, you get more shares. And an example is that Please Retweet gets 4 times more retweets than if you just tweet without asking for retweets. So it's really worth your effort or adding Please Retweet once in a while to your tweets that you really want to get more exposure. If you tweet several times a day, I would probably not do it in all tweets, ask for retweets in all tweets, because if you add the same text into your tweets all the time, people may just get tired of that and read over it. But if you do it for your most important tweets, for your most important content, it will give you more retweets. You should also, if you spread your content via your email list or through other means, you should simply ask for shares. You can even do that below your posts. If you created a blog post, you can simply below the post ask them, if you like this content, please share it on your social. People will do that. Another way to create shares or get more shares is if you create content that some people really want to share. I put down some examples of that. For instance, if you interview an expert from your field, this expert will usually tweet or put it on Facebook, this interview. So you get shares from the people you interact with in your content. Another example is if you see these lists like 10 experts tell you their secrets on marketing on Facebook. These experts will usually also share the post. And the same goes for top lists. There is an influencer marketing company called Onalytica. They make top lists for all kind of niches and topics. And these influencers, they are honored to be on that list. So they share and tweet about that, or even write articles about that, that they are honored to be on that top list. And if you create content like that and share it in your social accounts, just also make sure that you mention at least some of these people that are on the list so that they will notice that you did that. I have some more tool recommendations for you here. To get more shares, you can trade your own shares for other people to share your content. There are a couple of tools who help you do that, and it really works. Most of them work in a quite similar way. You share content other people want to get shared. You can find a broad variety of different content on these platforms, and in some of these platforms you get points for sharing it and or credits, and you can spend these credits on kind of paying other people to share your own content. And it really helps to make your content spread. Co-promote works for Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, and even Instagram. Just retweet, I think it's just for Twitter. Viral content bus can also do Facebook posts and Pinterest pins. So you have, for almost any network, you can find some of these tools and use it to get more shares for your content. I have an extra tip for traffic at this point for you, and it's StumbleUpon. Some of you may think that StumbleUpon is already dead, but StumbleUpon is actually quite active still, and it can actually produce a ton of traffic for great content. StumbleUpon is kind of a content discovery network. You follow topics and you just browse through different content pieces that StumbleUpon presents to you, and you can upvote and downvote or like and dislike this content. And StumbleUpon really works. You put in your content or you stumble your content, and StumbleUpon provides you with a couple of views. If with these couple of views your content gets some likes, StumbleUpon will grant you some more views, and so on. So it's really great for making content spread, even if you don't have an audience. So while StumbleUpon traffic isn't the highest converting traffic, since for great content, StumbleUpon can really produce huge amounts of traffic, it's still worth your time because you don't have to spend much time on StumbleUpon. You simply stumble. You shouldn't only stumble your own content, you should also browse around on StumbleUpon a little so that they don't suspect you of just being a marketer trying to spread your own content. But the amount of traffic you can get from StumbleUpon is really noteworthy. Now, you've probably seen these posts I mentioned before, like 10 experts give their most important tip on growing on Pinterest or whatever. And of course, some of these posts are simply created by one expert getting all his expert buddies to make a statement for his post. But there are also journalists who are looking for experts in every kind of field to give a testimonial or statement or function as an interview partner on a certain topic. And you can find them via another tool, and that tool is called Help a Reporter Out. Help a Reporter will send you, I think I get a digest about 4 times a day or 3 or 4 times a day, where journalists and bloggers are looking for experts on different topics. And depending on what kind of topic you are an expert in, you may have to wait for a couple of days until a perfect match comes in. But there are a lot of different topics covered, and a lot of journalists are looking for experts, and it really works. I offered my expertise through Haro, and I got exposure in a blog post. So it really works, and you can get a link, you can get exposure, and you get recognition as an expert because, yeah, a journalist interviews you and mentions you as an expert, so you must be an expert, right? So it's really perfect. So let's talk about commenting. Commenting in connection to content marketing and blogging, I have to admit, I have to mention first what this is not about, because I hate some of these comments. I like to connect, I love comments, I like to talk to people, but really these link SEO comments, which only say great post and then visit my website, that's not what I'm talking about, and that may help you with your SEO. I'm not going to talk about that, but it's not going to help you with traffic. Not at this point. So what we are talking about here is go to sites that have huge amounts of traffic. I mean, if you have some huge traffic sites in your niche, you can try those. It depends if they have a commenting system up and running, and if this commenting system works in your favor. But examples you can use are Forbes and Business Insider. That the secret is that not so many people comment on these sites, but they have comments on, and you can link to your website when you put in who you are. And the goal is to try to be the first one to comment, and you need to make an effort in your comment. You really need to make an interesting and thoughtful comment. Otherwise, no one is interested in what you're commenting there. You really have to read the article and comment on the topic of the article with some additional information or your own thoughts. And then this can give you huge amounts of traffic, because Forbes and these kind of sites just have huge amounts of traffic. And if your comment is really helpful and thoughtful, people will be interested in who you are and who that person is who made this wonderful comment. It's not only it's not only comments that can get you more exposure. It's also guest posting. I'm not going to get into guest posting full force here, because guest posting is really a complex topic. But the principle is quite easy. You need a blog that has a considerable amount of traffic, because if you want to drive traffic from that blog, you can't do that if that blog doesn't have any traffic. You need a really, really great post. And with this post, you usually will get an author bio. And there are two ways to link back to your own site. That's either in the post. That only works if it somehow fits. The topic of the post fits, so that the link you said really gives additional information. And the most common way is actually to link in your author bio. And you can use your author bio in different ways. You can either link back to your website, like saying Susanna also blogs on the social M's, and link to our blog. Or I could, for instance, market a webinar like today's webinar and have a lead capturing page set up, or the webinar registration page set up, and have a call to action in my author bio, like Susanna also offers a webinar on this topic. Hopefully it's the same topic as the post is about, and you can register here and then link to the registration page. Guest posting can give you a lot of benefits. It's not only traffic or leads, it's also exposure to a new audience, the audience of the blog. It brands you in a different way, because it's not only the exposure to the new audience, it's also that the owner of the blog recognizes you as someone worthy to publish on their blog. So it brands you as an expert good enough to write about that. It can also give you followers on social media by simply mentioning your social media and most important social media accounts in your author bio. And of course, you can link back to your website. Now, this one may need a little more effort to set it up. It's about cooperations between businesses and bloggers. And I want to start this with an example. I'm subscribed to a lot of newsletters from fellow marketers. So I get a lot of newsletters from different people. And recently I got a newsletter from Jeff Bullas, and he actually announced a webinar that Neil Patel did. So why did he do that? Or what is the thought behind that? Well, it's actually, these marketers, they don't look at each other as their competitors. They rather treat each other as fellow marketers or colleagues. And what they achieve is they send out the information, in this case for the webinar, through not only the newsletter of the one holding the webinar, in this case Neil Patel, but he gets his fellow marketers like Jeff Bullas to send the information for the webinar out to their newsletter list. And so Neil Patel in the end reaches not his, I don't know, a couple of 100,000 subscribers, but he also reaches a couple of 100,000 subscribers of Jeff Bullas' list, and probably a couple more I'm not subscribed to, so I didn't get the information through any more newsletters. But my guess is he's got several of these marketers who send out information for his webinars. And usually the cooperation works in either of two ways. One would be if I send out your information for some event or special content or white paper, then in exchange you would send out information I want to spread, maybe an announcement to this webinar we are holding today, to your newsletter list. So it's an exchange of newsletters, kind of. The other way this is often used is in kind of an affiliate system, where if someone sells something, either via the webinar or directly, like a new ebook or something, you can use affiliate links in the newsletters you're sending, so that you can really know who bought the book and came from which newsletter, and in the end pay the sending host kind of his part of the revenues. There are more forms of cooperations. You just have to be a little creative. It can be joint webinars. I've actually watched quite a few webinars where I was invited by one person to a webinar about a topic that interested me. And in the end, the host wasn't the presenter. The host had invited someone else who was a specialist for that topic. And so it's a joint webinar, and usually the presenting party gets the opportunity to talk about his product or what he's doing for a couple of minutes in the webinar, so that he gets something out of it too. You can also go for content cooperations. That's a lot of marketers work together on some case studies or on some statistics where they just work together to get more insights. So there's actually a lot of cooperations you can do, and where you can really work together, and it really can boost your traffic because yeah, you have joined forces. You can really join forces with other people and get more out of it. Hopefully, most of you are already doing that. But talking to entrepreneurs and startups and small businesses, we have realized that this is not a given for some people. But your email list is actually your highest converting traffic channel. So you should really use your email list. A lot of people are afraid of doing that, of sending too much information via the email list. So they're afraid to annoy their subscribers with a lot of emails they're sending. So they end up not sending any at all. Or if they send any, these are mainly for promoting stuff, which isn't good either. Usually, how email marketing works is you collect the addresses and then you nurture this list, you provide value. And only when you gain the trust of your subscribers, you can convert them. And we realized talking to people that a lot of people are kind of afraid of doing the middle part, the list nurturing, the share content, provide value. And this part is actually what can give you a lot of traffic for a lot of content. And it can also build a lot of trust and make your audience much more open to your offers once you really try to convert them. So there's another point about this. I don't know if you had that case, but I've been kind of victim to that. I subscribed or to a list and then nothing happened. And months later, I got an email and I didn't know who the person was sending this email. I couldn't remember that I subscribed to that list. So my reaction was actually that's spam, while I actually subscribed to that list for my own accord. So it wasn't really spam, but since I didn't hear from the person or business I subscribed to for weeks or months, I couldn't remember and I treated them as spam. And you don't want that to happen. You really want to keep in touch with your audience, and your email subscribers is your audience too. And then your email list will be one of your best traffic sources. Actually, for a lot of blogs, the email list is the best traffic source ever. Now, this is actually one of my favorite hacks. If you have a great story to tell, you probably, I don't know, wrote a blog post about that, or an article, or white paper, or whatever. You have a great post, but you told the story. So the story is over, right? No, it doesn't have to be. There are actually quite a lot of chances where you can repurpose that story and repurpose the already created content. I put down two examples here. The one is LinkedIn Pulse. I don't know if you ever published on LinkedIn Pulse, but it's simply an article publishing system, or can not only publish articles, you can also share slide shares on there. But the thing is that it comes with an audience. It comes with the LinkedIn audience. So by simply putting in your content into LinkedIn Pulse, you reach a new audience. And it's quite easy to reach a couple of hundred new people with an article, even if you never did that before. And it's a business audience, and it's probably one of the best audiences for businesses that you can get. You have to be careful to choose good tags that really make it easy for the right audience to find your content. And of course, it helps if you have some connections on LinkedIn too, who will see the post and maybe reshare, like it. Another way of repurposing a story or content is SlideShare. You can, for instance, for a list post, you can easily create a SlideShare presentation. And of course, you can use that SlideShare on your own blog to make your article or whatever kind of content you have even better. But you can also publish it directly on SlideShare. And the thing is that SlideShare can also give you an additional audience because, for one, a lot of people search on SlideShare for information. And a lot of people search on Google for information, and SlideShare has a pretty good standing with Google. So that most of the time, my guess is that a SlideShare presentation can end up higher in search rankings than your own content on your website. So these sites simply come with an own audience and give you additional exposure for a story you already told on your own site. And by linking back to your original story on these sites, you can actually produce a ton of traffic. There are more examples like that for different niches. For instance, in the marketing niche, there's business to community, where you can simply republish your blog posts. And a couple of years ago, when I guest posted on Jeff Buller's blog, I noticed he republishes every post on business to community. And one of the posts I made for Jeff Buller's actually got more comments and more exposure on business to community because, yeah, people just, somehow it just ended up with a lot of comments and shares on business to community and got a lot of exposure there. So you have to keep your eyes open in your own niche and see where you can republish and get more attention to your great story. There's another way of kind of retelling stories or reusing content. For instance, list posts are fairly easy to turn into simple infographics. And an infographic, you can, if it looks good, you can send it to other blogs, and some blogs will be happy to publish the infographic. Some will ask for a short byline, but you don't really have to come up with a full-blown guest post. In addition, infographics still get a ton of shares on Pinterest and run really well on Pinterest. So it's worth trying to go for infographics and try them on Pinterest for more traffic. Now, this one is the last one. And it surprised me when I saw that. It's about using high traffic outlets, and these high traffic outlets, yeah, they're not the ones that would come to my mind, but they work. They actually work. So my question is, do you know BuzzFeed? My guess is most of you know BuzzFeed, at least if you're using Facebook, you get probably BuzzFeed content once in a while. But did you really know that you can contribute to BuzzFeed, that you can publish yourself on BuzzFeed? And did you also know that BuzzFeed isn't only for funny cat pictures, it's also for really valuable information? You just have to make it up in the right way. Kind of, you need some images to go with it. What runs really well on BuzzFeed is, for instance, list posts. Sometimes it works if you make it a little provoking, or if you use some humor or irony. But you can publish on BuzzFeed. We tried that actually for one of our list posts, or I think Jonathan used it for several of them. And it can drive traffic. And the thing is, if you get some initial traction to your post, for instance, if you share it in your social channels and share it with your audience and get some viewers to your post, then BuzzFeed will help you promote it. That means if you make your content spread far enough, BuzzFeed will see to your content really hitting it. And that's when BuzzFeed can really provide you with a ton of traffic. But it's not only BuzzFeed you can use in this way. Again, you have to keep your eyes open, but I want to give you some more examples. For instance, there's Quora. That's a high traffic question and answer site. Of course, you can also publish on Quora, but it's still the best to use it for questions and answers. And to really utilize Quora for traffic, you have to find a good question from your own topic or niche where you can really provide an outstandingly helpful answer. And hopefully your answer gets upvoted, because then if that's a question that interests a lot of people and your answer is the top answer there, then you can really drive a lot of traffic from your answer. For niches, there are more websites, and then I noted down some examples. For instance, if you're in the film industry, you can try to comment or publish on IMDb, which is huge. You can use Etsy for crafts, or for instance, you can use all recipes for cooking, and that I'm sure that really works, because I use a German website for recipes, which is fairly large, and I always read the comments, because if I want to try out a new recipe, I get a ton of valuable information in the comments, because they tell me what the description in the recipe is missing, or what I should change, what spices I can add. I don't know how the recipe reacts to too long cooking or whatever. So the comments for recipes are really important, and if you manage to give valuable comments, you will get exposure simply by commenting. Whew, that was a lot of stuff, a lot of things to think about, and a lot of hacks to try out. I'm sure there were some questions. Hopefully Jonathan answered a lot of them. We will come back to the questions in a second. You can still use the chat box. I will also join in answering questions in a second. But before we do that, I want to say something again and give you some more information. I said that in the beginning. These hacks are one-time traffic boosts most of the time. Some of them give you links and help you grow your audience. But the traffic, these hacks are really meant for boosting traffic to one piece of content, or a webinar or whatever. What you really need is a process that helps you grow consistent traffic and helps you grow an audience, and a growing audience that will give you more traffic over time. And for that, we created the social traffic code. So what is a social traffic code? I'm going to explain that in a second, but first, I'm going to explain that now. Yeah, it's an ebook we created for you, and this ebook will be of huge value to you if you're starting out with a business, if you actually want to do marketing without spending a fortune on ads, because that's actually what we are not doing so much. We are not throwing out a lot of money to advertising. So what we are talking about is really getting the better of social media and learn how to generate traffic and leads from social media by simply understanding how the pieces all work together, how your Twitter should work with content, how you can use other people's content to be more valuable and grow your brand. So if you want to grow your business with social media, then this ebook is for you. And why should you listen to us? I think that's a really good question, because I don't know how many of you have never heard of us before, but we use the methods in the social traffic code to get to be number 8 of the most influential brands in social media marketing in less than 1 year in business. That's the influencer analytics brand Analytica who said that. There are more people talking about us, and they all say that you maybe should look at our courses or the podcasts, or in this case, the ebooks, because we really try to help you and make you successful in social media. And of course, you can follow our blog. We give a ton of information on our blog, and we really try to give what you need in the blog post. But the social traffic code really is a recipe, a step-by-step process on how to build an audience on social media, how to generate traffic, and how to get leads from social media. It also includes a bonus chapter on email marketing, and we included an action plan which exactly tells you how to get to a growing audience, growing traffic, and more leads from social media within 4 weeks. So it's a PDF ebook with 110 pages. It tells you how to use content curation. It talks about growing a Twitter account, starting a Facebook page, about content marketing and blogging. As I said before, it's an email marketing and sales funnels chapter in there. And I think the best of it actually is a 4 weeks action plan, which exactly tells you how to get your activities together to really make it grow and get something in return for your efforts. And the price of the ebook is actually not that high for what you get, because it really can make you successful in 4 weeks. It really tells you how to get started with traffic generation, how to get more out of your efforts, how to grow, how to generate leads, and how to build your email list, and it all does that all for $14.99. So if you're interested in this ebook, and if you want to learn more about the step-by-step process, simply click on the social traffic code button on the right-hand side of your browser window right now, or visit the link on Gumroad. Complete the checkout process and start learning. And yeah, hopefully you will get back to us and tell us all your achievements, because I really think it's really easy to follow and process and step-by-step process. My guess is that you don't even need so much more time than you're already investing in your traffic generation and social media efforts. It just tells you how you should all connect all your activities in social media. So just a small recap. It's a step-by-step process to growing an audience and traffic from social media. includes an action plan, how to get started today and get there in 4 weeks. It includes a bonus chapter on email marketing, which tells you how to generate leads from social media and how to set up your sales funnels. And all this you get for $14.99. Okay, back to questions and answers. So I have to find my way through the comments right now and see what else I can answer for you. I just saw there was a link in the chat for a title builder. I have to admit I haven't seen that. I have seen some tools for title testing where you can put in your title and they give you an idea how well your title will probably work. They can analyze if you use good words and if it's too long and if it's too broad. So there are some title analyzer tools. I haven't got a link right now, which I can put in here because I'm not using it on a day-to-day basis. But thank you for the feedback, by the way. I'm glad you enjoyed the webinar and yeah, hopefully you really learned something. Well, it's not, the question right now is, sounds like you need to know your content and then apply the various hacks to increase traffic. The various hacks can help you increase traffic, and especially in the beginning when your social media audience is still small, the hacks will help you to still get traffic. But you should also focus on really growing a social audience because that makes traffic generation a lot easier and less time consuming. Most of the hacks we've talked about today really eat up some time. So it's not really so efficient to have these hacks as your only means of generating traffic. Actually, if you build an audience on Twitter, for instance, you can have your main traffic really run on autopilot, which really helps you to keep it running, especially when you're busy doing something else. So yes, you should know your content, and the hacks will help, but you should also focus on creating an audience, growing an audience. Great. So I see that some of you are already kind of planning or heading over to get the book, and that's really great feedback. Thank you so much. I have one question I want to ask you, since you're still here. If there are some topics you want us covered in webinars, we would be happy to get some hints. I already have some ideas for the future, but since we want to keep going with the format, we also want to make sure that we really talk about things that you're interested in. So if you want us to cover a special topic, just let us know in the chat and we will try to make it happen. Oh, no suggestions today. So maybe going to get some ideas from our newsletter subscribers. Maybe, I think there are no more questions coming in. If you still have questions, please let us know. I can't really see any. So it's about one topic suggestion I see here is about measuring social media ROI for companies. That's a nice topic. Haven't written so much about that, so probably going to start with some blog posts about that. But it's a good idea, and I think it's a topic that a lot of people are interested in. So yes, good idea. Um, yeah, the question right now is the site that publishes lists. It's Unalytica. They publish influencer lists mainly. Well, they are. I think they are a consultancy and do influencer marketing advice. But they publish these influencer lists. That's Unalytica. And when you click on the tab blog, you get a lot of these lists of a lot of influencers. So yeah, someone just mentioned that he is missing the step-by-step process in detail. I wouldn't say for dummies. I would just say for beginners, because yeah, it's really hard when you start out, because it sounds so easy when you read all these tips, and it sounds so easy. Make your images shareable or something. Well, I'm not so great a designer, so yeah, but that's actually a step-by-step process is what we are doing in the social traffic code. It's a step-by-step process that explains to you how to grow traffic from social media. It gets you started fairly quickly, and you will see results within days or weeks. It depends a little how active you already have been. If you're starting from scratch, it will take you a little more time to really get a lot of traffic. But if you already have been active and already have some content and audience to start with, that's fairly fast to see results. Well, this step-by-step process that we describe in the book isn't just for English. We have actually tried that and been successful with that in Germany too. So we use Twitter for that in Germany, and to explain that, others don't really understand Twitter, and it still works because there's still enough people active on Twitter and in almost any niche on Twitter, and social media is growing, so it really should work in most countries actually. I mean, I can't really speak for all of the world, but I know that in South America, for instance, people are even better adapting to social media and processes than in Germany. So It should work. So this is an idea, one webinar for each of the top social media outlets. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. We're probably going to have another webinar on more Twitter information soon, but yes, we will also consider and plan webinars on the top social media. Do something on Facebook or Pinterest and give some ideas and hacks on how to get more out of your efforts. Yeah, good idea. I have here is a question with music web posts. I have to admit that the music space, I'm not so familiar with the music space, so I can't really comment on that. Shelly Ann put in some links to the headline for the tools for headline generation. There's HubSpot blog topic generator. I think that's more to give you an idea for blog posts. It's not really giving you, it gives you some titles, but they are so generic that I would go for a little more specific titles in the end. But their starting point. And CoSchedule Headline Analyzer, that's one of the tools you can use to, where you can put in your headline and get some insights on how well they estimate your headline is going to work. But in the end, I really, you should really use some tools like Buffer or something to schedule your posts and watch your analytics to learn about headlines and see which ones work better. I'm going to come to an end now, but there's one question I have to answer. I hope I get it right. There's the question is the difference between the $445 course, that's the complete social media traffic generation masterclass, and the $20 one on your website. I think that you're probably referring to the $20 test membership, which only is a membership for 3 days, while the Traffic Generation Masterclass is a full-blown course system of 6 courses plus additional material, and you can never learn all that. You can never even read all that in 3 days. So the $20 membership is just to have a glimpse, look inside, see if you like what you're seeing, if the information is what you can use, and if you want to stay and keep learning, then you have to upgrade to the full-blown membership of the Traffic Generation Masterclass. The $20 is just a test membership to look at what we are offering. Okay, I think that was probably the final question. So I just want to say thank you for attending, and it was nice having you, and hopefully you will be around when we have our next webinar. So thank you for being our guests today and chatting with us, and bye-bye. One question now. No, the Traffic Generation Masterclass for the full-blown course does not expire. It's a lifetime membership. So have a great day and see you next time.